Pedro from A&P-Reacts. I'm here today with Andreas Kisser of Sepultura to talk about Sepulquarta, out August 13th on Nuclear Blast. How's it going with you?
Great, man. Pleasure to be here with you all.
It's an absolute honor to have you, this incredible legend, here chatting with me about the latest project that you guys are putting together. And let's start off with that. Is this perhaps one of the few bright spots to come out of this pandemic?
I hope so. Yeah, for us, definitely it is the brightest, because it is an album that was not really planned to be an album. We planned to do the every Wednesday after, of course, the pandemic came and we couldn't tour, we couldn't rehearse, we couldn't see each other as a band. So we kind of created this event every Wednesday, also influenced by the thematic of the album Quadra, the number four, numerology, geometry, etc. And every Wednesday we have this event where we have a Q&A to talk to our fans. We have a Sepultura performance song in this pandemic format. And the storyteller where we used to remember all the past and everything. So it was every Wednesday something that kept us together, working, talking about the band, talking about the new album Quadra, talking about our career, and not only about music, but we had Sepulquartas that we talk about anxiety and depression, the environment. We had another one with sports, with skateboarding. All the masters were there with us, and etc. Right now, so it was an amazing experience for us. I thought we couldn't really survive without the stage, but we did it somehow. We kind of reinvented the band. We kind of reinvented a way to be Sepultura, to be a band, to be connected, and to work together. And the album came out of itself, basically, because, as I said, we didn't plan to have an album. It was just thinking about every Wednesday, the internet, etc. And then at the end of 2020, we looked back and we saw an amazing material we have in our hands with amazing people involved, our friends and special guests and stuff. And we decided to remix 15 songs and put on an album. And it was great. It was really unexpected. And it felt great to have such a great material. And it's not either live or studio. It's this
Yes.
pandemic situation that is very unique.
It has a very unique sound, and that was one of the first things that I took from it. It feels like we're getting a little bit of a jam session from you guys, perhaps preparing for a
Definitely.
tour, that kind of feel. But then you add the caveat of having guests coming in and adding their own touch, their own flavor, which changes the whole dynamics around. When the idea for the guests came into the picture.
Well, along the way, because we started the first Sepulquartas, we started playing only ourselves the Quadra material, almost like a playthrough. And then we started improving and doing the stuff ourselves and re-recording or redoing the stuff. And then we did the Q&A only with me, and then the next one with Eloy, the next one with Derek. And then we started calling people. We called Gordo from Hartos de Porão. We called Mike Portnoy, who did a special drumming event with Eloy and stuff, and then started like that. And then we invited people to be a part of the jamming itself, and it was great because Hata Mahata have three drummers. Imagine doing that in the studio or either live on stage.
Live, yeah.
It can be done, but it's a lot of work. Imagine touring with that and stuff, and also two bass players on a song, which you usually don't do either on the studio, especially in the studio. And now we have Inner Self with Phil Rind and Territory with
Territory.
Dave Ellefson. So it's great. We were very open to do anything, and as homemade as possible. It was very homemade. I mixed the sound myself, for the Sepulquarta. And then our webmaster did all the editing for the videos. And all the guests were very professional, sending the stuff at the right date so we have time to edit everything, so everything would be done. It was really cool, man. It was no stress, no hassle at all. Everybody was really happy to be a part. And even when I proposed to have an album, everybody signed off, yes, I want to be a part, let's do this, It was great, man. It was a family effort, It was like our family, There are friends that we see every year on the road, but now we
Yeah.
couldn't.
Yeah, you guys couldn't, and you had a new album just coming out. The pandemic kind of hit you guys at the worst I mean, not that
Yeah,
there's a good time for a pandemic to
I
happen,
know.
but it really hit you guys at the worst time possible. You guys had a North
Yeah,
American tour planned out. I was going to see you guys in Toronto, and then the pandemic hits, everything goes away.
yeah, man, was
I,
really
I know I know
frustrating.
you guys did some Quadra songs, but did you guys think about doing the whole Quadra album with guests versus doing the way you guys did it?
No, not really. I mean, it was quite the opposite. We didn't want to give that first, let's say, impression of the performance of a new album like that. Um, only the only song we did for Quadra was "Fear, Pain, Chaos, and Suffering" because we had the female singer as a guest on the album, Emily Barreto, and we thought it was a good opportunity to present that song because live on the road would be rare,
Yeah.
probably impossible to do that song only with her, some whatever. But the idea was really to revisit everything and keep the album for live. That's what we're doing. We want to play on the stage. We prepared the whole tour with 7 new songs on the set list. So we were ready to go, and then everything stopped. So but at least we put out the album. The album came out. We did some promotion. Went to Mexico to do the promotion. We had a lot of more stuff to do, but unfortunately we couldn't do it. But at least we put it out. It could be even a little worse if the album was ready to come out later than that. So it was. I think it's something that is really missing. That's why we're working so hard to make this tour happen. Hopefully we can make it happen.
When you guys are putting the songs together for this Sepulquarta, did you guys pick the tracks, or do you allow the guest musicians to kind of say, "Hey, I would like to do this song"?
Both ways. I mean, it was everything very open. It was not really a general rule. Oh, we have to do this song or we have to do this and that. We talk to the guest. We have suggestions. Oh, let's do this. Dave Ellison, we did Territory with him many times. Not only with Sepultura, but with Metal Allegiance and Hail and all that stuff. So it was kind of obvious, to do that song with him. Scotty Ian as well. We did Cutthroat many times before together. Slaves of Pain was a suggestion from Fred Leclerc because he loves that song and we never played live. So, you know, Hatred Aside, 3 singers, so we have the 3 girls. Let's use that for that. Hata Mahata, 3 drummers, more of the percussive. So every song has their own history or story, and of course Orgasmatron with Phil Campbell, I think our
Yeah.
highlight of the album. I mean, we have a real Motorhead there with us, doing yet a new version of that song, which is so special for us, so it was really great, man. And we wanted to give as much freedom as we could for the guest, do whatever you want. Like Danko Jones, for instance, he did Sepul Nation the way he wanted to do it, same with every singer. Fred Leclerc did all the leads for Sepul Nation, for Slaves of Pain, because Devin Townsend did the first lead for Mask. It's cool. It's they know what I did on the album. They know what I do on stage. Why not have a different
Different take.
taste? Yeah. So it was really cool. It made the version even more special. Because it's very unique.
I like the fact that now we're able to go to YouTube and watch the video of the songs, but we now also are able to go into our car and jam the tracks
Oh
in the
yeah,
car. Like, you guys have given us not just the music in the virtual world, but now we actually going to be able to have the solid material. And one of the things that I took from that is that seeing you guys on Sepulquarta, you guys were having a great time. Like,
oh
you
yeah,
you were playing like you were playing live in front of like
definitely.
thousands of people. Same thing with Eloy. His camera would shake so much because
Yes,
he was giving
yes,
was giving 100%. It was not like you guys were having fun. Like, it really came
definitely.
across. Was that something that kind of took you guys away from the craziness of the pandemic when you were performing these songs?
Totally, man. Totally. Kept us busy, kept us talking to each other. It kept us really going week by week, according to the crazy news that every day was something new. Still today it is, like new variations and all that stuff, So, and it kept us alive and sane, really, like working and doing that stuff was really fun, talking to people and, and jamming like that. I put my stuff here put my hair down, and I went away for a few minutes, which is like the stages. You go to different places. You have a different experience when you are on stage. You it's funny with people that knows me, by my older people, whatever, they never saw me on stage. They couldn't believe, that I could do that because I'm very different. Everyone is very different outside the stage and inside the stage, So it's something very special and very healthy for us, that we miss so much, that interaction with the crowd, that energy, the development of the songs live on stage, which we go and think about a new album after that experience. We have to go through that to really develop and grow. So and we miss that a lot. This is our life.
Did you guys practice these songs, or it was just like, okay, everybody's here, we're just going to record our piece, put it all together?
No practice.
Or was there like some like, I think you should do this way or that way? How was it?
Just a few. Sometimes I send I don't know, Scotty Ian, hey, how you do that riff? Send me a video or something, like just a specific riff. Okay, these are the right notes, thank you. With Devin Townsend, the same, some parts here and there. But dude, very open. No, not directions, We weren't here to give directions, because otherwise we sound like the same as we always do. I mean, there's no point, I mean, the idea was really to have this open experience that we didn't know where we're going to end, which is exciting. So that was the idea. Was not really hard, the direction, some doubt here, there, how you play that riff and stuff, but nothing more than that. It was really very open.
How was the logistics? You said that you have your web guy taking care of everything. To me, it seemed like there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes to make it seem so simple when I sit down, not only to listen to the album now, but even to watch the videos on your YouTube channel.
Oh, it's a lot of work, but it was very easy, actually. It started with Eloy. I mean, we choose the song, and then Eloy did the drums, and then he sent it to me. I do my part, guitar and stuff. Paulo sent his bass, Derek sent his voice. I put everything together here, and the guest, whatever the guest is, sent his parts, and I put it here. It was very easy, actually. With the technology we have today, exchanging files and Dropbox files and all that stuff, it's really easy to do anything like that. Even record an orchestra if you wanted to send the files and put it together. Was possible. So was really. And the idea was really to do homemade. I did the audio myself, and the webmaster did the video, and we did like that. I sent the mix to him, and he put everything together. So once we got this rhythm going, was easier and easier. Because we were more accustomed to do. We had a certain date on the week that we send all the material. I received the stuff from Paulo and Eric and etc. So it was really cool, man. We were very professional in that respect, to respect the deadline. So because we announced a few days in advance, if we had any problems, that'd be cool, and we didn't have any problems. It was great. Was really everything on time, and we never had really to improvise on that respect. We had our time really to put everything together. Everything worked.
You mentioned already some of the songs on this album, on this project. Is there one that stands out to you above all others?
There's a few. There's Desperate Cry that we did with 2 drums, Jason Bittner from Overkill was great. We have Meaningless Movements as well. That we have the guy from Ginger, the guitar player, and some other stuff that I don't remember, but it's really cool stuff, that we're going to use later in some different projects in the future somehow, so we didn't want to use everything at once. I mean, it's something cool that it opens possibility to use in many different ways that we might have the possibility to use in the future.
You guys collaborated with so many cool musicians on these Sepulquarta sessions. Is there somebody left out there that you haven't worked with that you would love to have in the next pandemic?
All of them. All the artists are there, out there. There's a possibility. Now, I talked to Schmier from Destruction, that unfortunately he didn't have the calendar or time, and eventually it didn't happen, So Schmier was a possibility. But I mean, there's so many of my idols, of our idols. It'd be great to do something with Paul Stanley, for instance. Can you imagine? It'd be great, or something with Kirk Hammett or Dave Lombardo. We did something with Dave Lombardo in the studio, so it'd be cool to have him as well. There's so many good friends out there, that we have the privilege to know, and our idols as well. That we have this way of getting in touch and stuff. So there's so many different people there, but when you see the list that we achieved, on this album, it's amazing, man. First time I saw the list, I'm like, wow, I mean, how how we could do that? It's really fantastic.
I was blown away as well, because I felt like you guys during this pandemic did something that a little outside the box from what other bands were doing. You guys were so in the forefront of creating content, and at the same time content for the fans, so that you
Yeah.
had a new album out. It would have been easy for you guys to just say, my God, we get no luck, no breaks coming our way. But you
True.
guys thought outside the box, did something completely different. There's no other band that did anything nearly as close to what you guys did. Is this something that you're super proud of, in terms of Sepultura once again being in the forefront of changing the way music is delivered to their fan base?
I really appreciate you see it that way, because that's the way we saw it ourselves. We had to create something new for us. Otherwise, we'll be, you know, dead, because we didn't have the chance to tour or either to see each other, as a band. So Sepulquarta was really, we had to have meetings to discuss ideas, suggestions and stuff, and to work together as a band. It was great, it was fantastic. And yes, I mean, we're very proud of what we achieved, day by day, with not too much of any expectations, really, because we were working according to the news, what would be able to do, what was possible of doing, vaccines or not vaccines, lockdowns or lockdowns. And the Sepulquarta never stopped. We really went along. And at the end of 2020, we felt was enough. It was a lot of work, and we achieved a lot. And the album, was really amazing when we saw we had an album in our hands without even knowing it. In the end, when we realized, it was so fucking great. Wow, man, this is something really special. Because we somehow create a form of income here as well. That we created out of this situation that we couldn't tour, we couldn't do anything. Which is something really great. Something cool.
We've talked about the music and how everything came together for this record, but let's talk just a little bit about the artwork. I think the artwork is phenomenal.
Amazing.
What was the idea behind creating such a unique piece of art? Like, I mean, it's really art.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we wanted somebody new, and we all gave some suggestions, and we chose this guy that Eloy Casagrande, our drummer, suggested. It's a guy called Eduardo Recife. He's from the same city that Sepultura is from, Belo Horizonte, and he's just a young, talented. We all looked to his roster there, his work, and we all loved, his style. And I talked to him, explaining what the Sepulquarta was all about, that we have this album, it was done this way, and etc. And he came up with that concept, with the visual concept, with the dead bird and the flowers coming out, like, you know, life out of death,
Yeah.
basically, and we all loved it. We saw the first time, we didn't change anything. He captured the vibe and the feeling of it all, and I think it represents very much what we did there together with our friends. It's like a lot of people involved, not only the band but our crew, our managers, our press people, our webmaster, all the friends, the guests that were a part, and Eduardo, who did an amazing job on the artwork. Was a fantastic effort, for the Sepultura family. It was amazing.
It's impossible to have you here and not to talk a little bit about the pandemic, because we wouldn't be talking about this album if it wasn't for the pandemic. You've been very
Most
vocal
definitely, yeah.
throughout the pandemic in terms of how you feel about what's happening in your country, in Brazil, and what's happening around the world. Do you feel like this is going to have a lasting impact on you, and perhaps in the future impact a record in terms of the lyrical content and the message that you want to put out there?
Always, yeah. With pandemia or no pandemia, that's what we do. we have the privilege to travel the world. So we visit places for the first time. We kind of experience things for the first time, meet people. We went to places like Armenia, Siberia. Metal is everywhere, and it's amazing. It is the most popular style in the world. We went 80 countries in 36 years, 37 years, and that it really keep us alive. It keep us with a lot of new ideas, new influences, new books that you might come up, to find, and new friends. Everything's an influence, everything. And of course, the pandemic, that change. I never stay in my house so long for so many, time. We have to readapt and find myself not only as a performer, musician, but as a father, as a husband, as a son, as a brother or sister, as sector. So it's a great, valuable experience if you make the best out of it and not really accept the tragedy. Out of the tragedy it comes fertile things. It comes new doors open, it come new windows are open, and you have really to heads up and really look around. You're going to find possibilities, especially in art. That's what we do. We always do that. We always find a new way, try to find new territory, try to find the dark where the light didn't go yet. That's where the new is. If you go up to the limit where everything is done, it's done. You're going to repeat yourself or you're going to copy somebody. So it's cool to risk. Art is a risk. You're only going to do something new if you risk. And that's what Sepultura is all about, a risk.
Last question I have for you is with everything that happened over the past 2 years, to you as a musician, to you as a person, what has impacted you the most? What has changed within you that you see it's going to be completely different as you go forward, either as a man or as a musician?
Basically, a lot of stuff. I changed a lot, and I think for better. I quit alcohol like right before the pandemic hit it. It's a year and a half almost now that I don't drink alcohol. It's one of the best decisions I make in my life. Not that I wasn't a fucking out of control alcoholic, but alcohol is a part of my life, of everything I did. In certain degrees, less and more, but it was there. And it was taking control of my life. Of my choices, of how I dealt with people or with a special occasion or something. Alcohol was involved in everything. And I don't need that. And I prove now that I don't because I'm having a better life. I'm doing exercises. I have the routine I never had. Touring. Every time you're in a different place, in a different time period, or you go to a bathroom, you don't shower, you have to travel, etc. That was our life. And with the pandemic, I had finally a routine, that I kind of complained before because I couldn't do exercises, I couldn't have my diet, I couldn't study classical guitar. Now I have all that, and I appreciate that a lot. The stuff that I have with my wife and my kids that I never home, I'm always here now. It was a difficult time, but we recreated ourselves kind of. We are a better family now, much better family now. And that's very special. And I have to be thankful for that somehow. That I was able to really to make the best out of something so terrible.
Yeah, one would say that you picked the worst time to stop drinking. I mean, during the
I don't know if the
pandemic.
worst. I mean, there's no time for that. The concept of time is really. I mean, it's very weird, and I wasn't expecting I mean, in the beginning of March, lockdowns in Italy and stuff was really bad, but we didn't expect to stop everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's no connection with that. But I have to say that being at home and dealing with that with no alcohol was perfect. It could be a lot worse if I'd be drinking home and trying to deal with such a difficult feelings, between family and profession and etc. So I appreciate I did my choice before that, without even knowing.
I just think it's incredible because during the pandemic, perhaps a lot of people went towards the alcohol and you
Exactly.
walked away from it.
Exactly.
And that's not an easy, it's not an easy choice to make during such a dark period of time for everybody involved.
Well, for me, it was very easy, man. I have to say, once you have a clear idea in your mind, there's no discussion. I didn't put the responsibility on a saint, or let's say in a church, or oh, I'll be stopped for a year. Oh, I promise you, my wife, I don't drink anymore. No, it's not for them. It's a very personal uh, attitude. It's me with me, not more. I don't have to put the responsibility away from myself in a time period or in a certain religious belief or my family. They don't deserve that. This is my problem, and I resolve it with myself. So I'm so, I mean, in peace with myself with that. This is not something that bothers me. I can be around alcohol, I can be around parties, I can be around backstage, as I did with my Kisser Clan band here and stuff. People drink around, I don't care. I don't even feel the wish to drink, which is great. So I don't have a battle, let's put it that way. I'm not running away from anything. I just decided to stop. That's it.
That's it. Well, Andreas, thank you very much for your time today, man. I really appreciate you taking the
Thank
time to
you.
chat with me about the record. I love the album. I love what you guys have done during this
Thank
pandemic.
you.
And as a fan, I want to thank you for giving us something to look forward every week.
Obrigado, Pedro. Grande
Obrigado.
abraço, mano.
Ciao. Ciao.
Valeu. Thank you very much. Ciao.